I'm talking with Anthony Davis, who's a Republican candidate for county council. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to KRSN.
Well, thank you.
And let's begin with a little history. How long have you been a resident here?
Well, I came here 14 years ago. I've been a permanent full-time resident for 12 years. I came here as a student working at the National Laboratory, and I really kind of fell in love with Los Alamos. It's such a neat place to live. And I said, this is where I want to live. I want to live here. And so I, arranged my coursework and everything to make sure that I could get a job at Los Alamos where I enjoyed working. And
oh, great!
And that was so I've been here for 12 years. I left the lab after about 18 months as a full-time staff member because I realized something that I hadn't paid attention to, which is that being a student at the National Laboratory is not the same as being a full-time staff member. Being a full-time staff member is a completely different experience, and I found I did not like it. And so I said, but I loved Los Alamos. How do I stay here? What do I do to stay in Los Alamos? And then I started working with High Tech Incorporated in 2000.
And now you're starting your own business.
I am, yes. I left High Tech in October last year. Well, High Tech, which turned into MTech and was bought by 3M. And I'm starting my own business. It's Tessive is the name of the company, and it has just me working in it at the moment. I'm doing professional camera equipment for professional movie cameras. And at the moment, I'm in prototype and technology development stage of that. Later this year, I should be rolling out some products.
Which is great. We talked about that a little before we came on air. If we have some time at the end,
you bet.
Let's talk about the movie industry in New Mexico. In the meantime, you have a blog. It's called Resident Davis. Tell us how that name came about.
Yeah, it's www.residentdavis.org. The name came about when we filed for candidacy a few weeks ago. I put my filing in and my $5, and so Carol Clark goes over there. She gets the list of the Monitor, and she gets the list of all of the people. And there are 8 Republicans running this time, and so she runs the article in the newspaper saying, listing all of the candidates and kind of what their background is, with just a one line, former counselor, current counselor, even one that's musician, Hanneman. And she gets to me, and she has no idea who I am. I mean, nobody's heard of me. And, bless her heart, she said, what do I do with this guy? And she said, well, resident. I mean, he's resident as what I was listed as. And I saw the article, and I just about, fell over laughing as I thought, well, what else was she supposed to do? I mean, and I said, but that's neat. I'm Resident Davis.
And you liked it.
I liked it. So I took it, and I've talked to her about it. She thought it was pretty funny. She was all apologetic. I said, don't be. How would you know?
For those of you that follow Gzilla, Anthony Davis, do you go by Anthony or Tony?
Tony is fine.
Tony has posted all of his answers to the Gzilla questions on his blog as well as on Gzilla's site. So what life experiences do you have that will make you a qualified counselor?
Well, I've certainly been leading people for a long time. My position at High Tech was engineering manager. I directed the engineering activities here. I mean, there's all kinds of other places where I've done kind of leadership activities in churches and other organizations. But I have always had to juggle, various issues that come to my desk, sort them out, and send them back out on their way, and manage people, manage issues, work on teams to get things done. And it's working in a group of people to look at policy and try to direct things is something that's very akin to things that I've been doing for the last 9 years. Certainly I had a technical aspect to my job, but the technical aspect comes naturally to me. That was to one side, and we had a lot of fun doing that. That was the fun part of the job. But the other part that came up was management. How do you become a manager when your training is all technical? And there's courses in this and this sort of thing, but it's really a discipline. You go find people to learn from, people who you respect and trust, and you learn from them. How do you become daily a better manager of people, and how do you make better decisions when they come to you
on behalf of those people? On
behalf of those people, the people who work for you, they don't. To a large degree, your responsibility is for them. You really work for these people, and it's important to remember that every day when they come to your office and say, I'm having a problem with such and such, or somebody doesn't like me, or whatever happens. You work for them. These are your employees, are your people you are responsible for. And in public office, it's a little bit different, but you still are responsive to the voters. You are their representative to go do things and to not screw up. They really want you to do this job very well, but they also want you to understand your place in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now you've done, that's like your elevator
Yep.
moment. Recently, the County Council approved an aggressive plan to get a developer for the Trinity site project. The timeline's in place. I'm curious what you think of the timeline, but I'm also curious what you think about the whole Trinity project. Do you have any feelings?
Well, the Trinity project. So we voted years ago to do this Trinity relocation, to move everything out of that land and move it down. And I was a big supporter of that. The county supported that. Because it went to a vote of the citizens of the county. It's a good idea. The idea is we move a lot of fairly unsightly buildings out of some prime real estate in town, move them somewhere else that wasn't already developed, and we make that real estate available for private use. And that's a big deal. That's actually one of the bigger deals that's happened in our county in a while, because a huge plot of land has become available to the private sector. And until then, all that had been happening was the land was being all made public. So it really is. There really is sort of an implicit contract with the citizens that land be used for private use. And so a development of that, the specifics of how they're going to do the development get very sticky. And to be totally honest, I wouldn't be qualified to go through every detail of that. But I certainly support the idea of of getting this developed privately. And more important, when we're talking about the development that happens there, one of the things that I worry about is that we become micromanaging of it. That we say, oh, we want a Walmart, and so we're going to wave a magic wand and make a Walmart appear, as opposed to allowing free enterprise to do what free enterprise does. And so and then do what a county does, which is you can zone things, you can have overall how does it look from the curb and things that you have. There's really can do it and allow this business to do what it wants with the land that it could buy. And that's not what's going to happen now. What's going to happen is a much more directed plan of development with a timeline that they've put in, and I do worry about that. Because we've gone through this once before. It didn't work well, mostly because we had an economic downturn. When we start trying to grab hold of things and control them very tightly from a governmental standpoint, we don't necessarily get what we want, or sometimes worse, we do get what we asked for, and we don't allow people who are going to take the risks and putting a business here to really take those risks.